Today we're talking about maximizing metabolic health, especially for the 40 plus year olds and beyond, like me. And when I say metabolic health, we're talking about the ability to store and utilize energy with maximum efficiency. One of the things that happens with aging is that our ability to store and utilize energy with efficiency goes down. So if you haven't already been eating, nutrient dense whole foods for years, maintain an active lifestyle, utilizing strength training to force adaptation in your body, your metabolic health is likely suffering. You don't have to be obese or have a beer belly to be metabolically in debt, though that would be a sign. The rush, the rush of standard industrialized world living and the act of consuming standard food fare, or 8 hours of sitting behind a desk daily, is enough to put a person behind when it comes to their metabolic health. So people are more efficient at clearing energy than others, and will maintain that lean physique, while others will not. And we'll find that waist size, in some is growing, doing the same thing, and others doesn't seem like it is growing. What is important to understand, though, even amongst that, is that if processed food has been coming into our body, we are losing resources, and life margin each day is becoming less. And if no physical training is being completed, no adaptation is being forced consistently on the body, we are not going to be where we want to be. We're not adapting, and we're not making ourselves more efficient at life. So whether you have a fat or a thin frame, a muscle, your bone structure, it is being swapped out for metabolically defunct fat tissue if indeed you are consuming ultra processed foods on a regular basis and sitting all the time. This brings us to one of the safest and simplest ways to help ourselves out while we're trying to come out of the state of metabolic defunct, I would call it. As we're looking to maximize our efficiency of energy utilization with each passing decade, become more capable in our bodies, sharper in our mind, emotionally balanced, with each passing decade. And that nutrient or element, or molecule is called creatine. Creatine is often all about strength and muscle mass building, but the reality is why it helps so much is because it is supporting a healthier tissue response to food and training. So a quick reminder, when you go to the gym, or to pick up you go to your garage, you pick up your dumbbells, say in your bedroom, your bands, you're not just doing a workout, or you're not just exercising. You are training to show up at your highest level in life. So we know creatine has this great ability to increase muscle mass and strength, which is vital for 40-year-old bodies, for 30-year-old bodies, 50, 60, 80-year-old bodies. As the body begins to depreciate at a more rapid state during these later decades. And if we're not purposely acting to force, continued adaptation, in order to build muscle and strength, stay ahead of that downward curve, we need muscles to be damaged. And inflammation following physical training, we need that to be remediated as fast and as efficiently as possible. That is why creatine is so crazy amazing. It is fantastic at promoting this recovery process. So one of creatine's primary roles is to replenish something called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. So ATP essentially is the energy currency of your cell. It is the dollar bills in the cell. You that feeling when you get your workout, or when you get your work check, and at the beginning of the month, put it in the bank, and the dollars in your checking account rise, the work check, that's your creatine. And your checking account is your muscle tissue, which has been decimated by the bills, um, or in the case of muscle tissue, the training, it's been depleted. But once your creatine levels drop in, ATP levels go up, and your checking account or your muscle all of a sudden has more ability to do a lot more. It can now pay the bills for the physical exertion and the desire for adaptation of your body. Another thing is that creatine helps our cells through stabilizing cell membrane. So that is the outer lining, this bilayer that covers all our cells. Cell membranes, they are a huge part of our capacity to communicate between cells. They literally decide what comes in, what goes out. And the more stable your muscle cell membrane, the better the communication from muscle cell to muscle cell. And that means the more capable of any activity you will be. And the less likely you are to get injured, you're to end up with, delayed onset muscle soreness and just feeling like you can't hack it. One of the hallmarks of healthy aging is efficiency at getting sugar out of the blood and into the muscle cells for use or storage. This also is one of the parameters that is easily lost in the aging process. So the thing we need a bunch of and we desire with aging is also the thing that becomes more challenging with aging. Thankfully, our little buddy, creatine is a huge help in this process, in improving insulin sensitivity and moving glucose into the muscle cell from the bloodstream for our use. So this is just going to throw a few things at you here. Because this is accomplished through creatine's effect on something called glucose transporter type 4. That's also called GLUT4, GLUT-4. So creatine enhances the translocation of GLUT4 receptors to the muscle cell surface. So we're on the surface, on the membrane here, which improves the uptake of glucose into the muscle cells. Just the thing we're trying to do, right? So glucose transporter type 4 or GLUT4 is a protein found mainly in muscle and in fat cells that helps transport glucose from the bloodstream into the muscle cells. So this process is essential for providing energy to the cell and maintaining ideal blood sugar levels. That's the thing, with age, supposedly blood sugar levels are more challenging. But if we can maintain muscle, we can maintain this GLUT4, we should be able to manage sugar quite well. So translocation basically refers to the movement of that GLUT4 from inside the cell to the cell surface. And under normal circumstances, GLUT4 is stored inside the cell in something called a vesicle or vesicles. And when the body needs more glucose in the cells, such as during exercise or in response to insulin, which is released when we consume, say, carbohydrates, proteins, or our blood sugar levels rise, these GLUT4 vesicles move to the cell surface. And this translocation so the translocation is from inside to the surface, is critical for controlling blood sugar levels and ensuring that cells have enough energy to function. And in the context of creatine supplementation, enhancing this process helps improve the efficiency of glucose utilization. Who doesn't want to utilize glucose more efficiently? I feel like my patient population is always hungry for that, needing that. And as a whole, America needs it. So this can contribute to overall metabolic health, which is exactly the end result we're hoping for, because metabolic health is slowed aging and it is better aging. So creatine supports muscle cell membrane stability by promoting better communication between cells and decreasing cell breakdown. So we just make it easier. Creatine makes it easier to create energy, to create ATP. It promotes improved recovery and muscle endurance, which leads to improved muscle mass, which leads to improved muscle strength, and it literally helps clear glucose from the bloodstream and get it into our muscle cells where it can be used more efficiently to grow, repair, and permit basic adaptation, which the end result is better life performance, improving even after the age of 40. I love this stuff, right? This is just amazing. So grateful for all these scientists that are out there that are working on these things and figuring these things out day in and day out. So as far as dosing goes, I think around 3 to 5 grams of creatine most days, or at least on workout days, seems to be about the optimal range for most people. I know there's people out there taking 10, 20 grams of creatine, loading doses, but really those don't offer any better effect on metabolism or muscle cell health. And they really, they create opportunity for excess water accumulation, the need for the kidneys to clear more of this excess unused creatine, as almost in all cases, there's no improvement in performance by just doing these loading doses or taking more. And, working with our bodies, they're so intelligent in the way that they promote adaptation, the way our body, sees nutrients, how to utilize them to promote optimal life performance. So I like to work along with the body rather than just super physiological doses and forcing a response on the body. And so that's where I think the 3 to 5 grams is kind of an ideal situation for chronic use. So if you find this valuable, I'd be so grateful if you leave a review or on iTunes, or if you'd share this with your family and friends who may be using creatine. I really think that there's endless gains to be made with creatine utilization, from mental health to strength gains to bone structure support to metabolic health, like we've been talking about. But so many are overlooking it, and this is a very simple, insanely studied molecule with really the downside is hard to find. All right, talk to you guys and gals later.